I really want to talk about something that Rachel Maddow said the other night because she touched on something that I've been thinking about for the last couple of weeks, but she brought the data to back it up. And then yesterday there was an article in The Guardian that tied in really nicely with this. I don't know if I will have time to get to that in this video. It might have to be the next one. We'll see how long this takes. But first, let's look at what Rachel said.
In the new CBS News YouGov poll that's just come out, Trump is underwater overall in terms of his approval rating by 16 points. Do you approve or disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling his job as president? Disapprove by 16 points. Well, okay, but do you feel strongly about it? Turns out, yes. The number of Americans who say they strongly approve of Trump is 24%. The number of Americans who say they strongly disapprove of Trump is 47%. That's almost double. So if you live somewhere with a lot of MAGA supporters and you're always hearing people say how much they love, love, love Trump and they've got Trump flags up and Trump bumper stickers and blah, 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 you should know that the people who feel very strongly against Trump outnumber Trump fans in this country by almost exactly a 2-to-1 margin. They take up a lot of space, but they are not even a quarter of the population. They are 2-to-1 outnumbered by people who strongly disapprove of Trump. And it's not just him personally, he is underwater on every issue, including the one he wants to be his best issue. Do you approve of Trump's handling of immigration? No. By a 12-point margin. Do you approve of Trump's handling of Iran? No. By a 12-point margin. Do you approve of Trump's handling of the Israel-Hamas conflict? No. By a 14-point margin. Do you want the U.S. government to put tariffs on other countries? No. By a 20-point margin. Do you approve of Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill? No. By a 22-point margin. Do you think the Big Beautiful Bill will help you or hurt you and your family? Hurt by a 2-to-1 margin. Well, what do you think about Trump's handling of the Epstein matter? Well, by a 50-point margin, Americans say they are dissatisfied with Trump's handling of this matter. The number of Americans who say they are somewhat or very dissatisfied by Trump's handling of the Epstein matter is 75%. The number of Americans who say they are somewhat or very satisfied is only 25%. That is a 50-point gap. Should the U.S. Department of Justice release all the information it has regarding the Jeffrey Epstein case? Yes. Yes. Yes, by a 78-point margin. Nearly 90% of Americans say the government should do that. To which Trump says, everybody please stop talking about this.
Okay, so that poll was conducted July 16th through 18th, and there have been significant updates as far as the Epstein case goes. So I imagine that things are looking even worse now. And the reason that I wanted to talk about this is because I've been thinking about how MAGA looks far bigger, more powerful, and more numerous online than they really are. And how that feeling that we get that MAGA is omnipresent impacts those of us that are fighting against fascism. We know that Trump has always exaggerated how popular he is. He inflates the number of people who attend his rallies. He always talks about how his approval ratings are far higher than they actually are. When they're like 41%, he says that they're over 80% of Americans approving of him. We know that fragile narcissists need to feel like they are adored by everybody. They need to feel that everybody loves them, believes them, will follow what they say. They can't really handle any challenge to their popularity. They need to be beloved and feared. So that's all nothing new. But, the last couple of days I've been on Facebook a little bit more. I don't really get on Facebook very often because I've said this before, but it's like a complete right-wing hellscape. It's just absolutely full of misinformation, disinformation, Russian bots, a bunch of white, late, older Gen X and boomers who are just full of the most bitter, vile hatred. And man, I think those guys just sit on Facebook and spew all day long. They have a huge presence. I already was not interested in using Facebook because of Mark Zuckerberg. They've taken away fact checking. People on Facebook will see my reels because they repost to Instagram. Like I get on Instagram, I drop a reel or a picture and it automatically reposts to Facebook. So I think people think that I'm actually on Facebook when I'm not. And when I bother to get on there, there's like a slew of unemployed 30-something neckbeards and then a bunch of balding, angry beer belly boomers who are dropping the most hateful things in my comments, sending me threats and DMs, being completely abusive toward me. And I report all of it to Facebook and they're like, what even is a violation anymore? No, we're fine with this. The other day I had this dude in my DMs who got so dysregulated that he felt the need to send me a message saying that I'm a dumbass. Single unemployed in Florida? That checks out. But man, these guys are like a swarm of locusts on Facebook. And if you spend any time interacting on that platform, you get the impression that MAGA is big and powerful and they are everywhere, and that a majority of Americans are MAGA, that a majority of Americans are as hate-filled, bigoted, awful, immoral as the Trump regime. And honestly, if you get on TikTok, it feels that way too. The last couple of days, every time I open the app, the first video I see is from a Trumper. 3 times in the last 2 days when I open TikTok, this is the first video I see.
I'm wondering if anyone else out there on TikTok is experiencing the same thing that I am, and that is extremely rude Democrats. Extremely rude. Commenting on how you look, what you're wearing, your beliefs, using name calling, derogatory statements, and just being plain nasty.
So first of all, did you notice that her shirt says Jesus is my savior and then has a picture of Donald Trump and then Christ on the cross? And I probably want to make a whole other video on that woman and how she cares more about her right to comfort than she does about the lives and constitutional rights of other people in this country, which is typical for white women. But gosh, if every time you open up the app, the first thing you're confronted with is Republican posts, MAGA hats who are spewing whatever they're going to spew, you can get this perception, this skewed perception that they are a multitude, that they are the majority, that they are so numerous that there's nothing we can do to combat them. But our perception does not match reality. Feelings are not facts. So when you get on here and you're like, oh gosh, or you get on Facebook and you're like, oh gosh, this feels really overwhelming. Gosh, it feels like there's so many of them. And I know that people in other countries, a lot of my viewers on YouTube are from Europe and Canada and Australia. I know what they're seeing from our, absolutely biased, in the pocket of Donald Trump, active pillar of support for the Trump regime, corporate media. They might also get that skewed opinion, that false belief that everybody here loves Trump. But when you look at the data, you look at the polling, you find out he is underwater on virtually everything. And the longer he is in office, the more people he is pissing off. Please remember, think back just weeks ago, y'all. No King's Day was the largest single protest in the history of the United States of America. It was millions and millions of people standing up against Donald Trump and for democracy. I know Indivisible's numbers are still growing rapidly. They're adding dozens of chapters every month. Membership is increasing. People all over the country are getting fed up. And now we are seeing the Epstein files nonsense. And we are seeing the way that the Trump regime is brutalizing immigrants. People don't want their farm workers abducted. People don't want their construction workers abducted. They don't want mothers ripped away from their babies. So all of the things that were like the cornerstone of what made people want to go with Trump, releasing the Epstein files and immigration, he has now pissed off all of those folks. I just want to remind you, if you're feeling really hopeless, if you're feeling like this country is full of hate, Trump never had a mandate from the voters, y'all. He didn't win 50% of the vote, and his numbers have been plummeting ever since. While the resistance is growing, Trump's support is waning. Not just waning, but like tanking. I know it sucks to hear that there are any people in this country who still support Donald Trump. Please understand, it's a cult. Please understand that a lot of people who are not even in that cult get their news from sources that basically spew propaganda. Even legacy corporate media is increasingly in the pocket of Trump, cannot be trusted to have any journalistic integrity whatsoever. These are folks who admit they are often not well informed. They believe what their Republican elected officials are saying when they are lying through their teeth, and they are believing what right-wing media is saying. But at the same time, their lives are becoming actively worse, and we see more and more of those folks who are waking up to the realization that things are sucking really hard because of Trump. I just want to encourage you, things are really hard right now. Things are really scary, but I don't want you to base your understanding of how successful the Trump regime is from what you see on social media or how you feel about it. They want you to believe that Trump is big and powerful, he is adored, he has the support of the people, when that could not be further from the truth. The thing we all have to do now is get really organized and use our energy and our labor, our skills and our resources for coordinated, sustained resistance.